Welcome to the Libertycon 34 art panel interviews. Today I have guest Peri Charlifu. Charlifu. I will get this right eventually. And we're going to talk about where he came from, what he's done, and what he's got going on. So tell us about what got you started in the artwork.
Okay, so my father was an art teacher. So I've been around art with my hands in clay ever since I can remember, since I was a little guy. Originally, I had gone to school for psychology. I have a degree in psychology. I found that art therapy was a good way to reach my clients. But then I found that what I was doing was I was burning out, basically. It was too difficult for me to do on an emotional level. So I thought, well, I'm already doing this pottery stuff. I'll just go ahead and kind of go from there. And kind of the rest is history, I guess. I started when I was about 14 and became professional when I was about 20. I started my business when I was 20.
What has been one of your most memorable pieces to you?
Oh, my most memorable piece. Wow. That's a tough one because as of last September, I had completed about 80,000 pieces.
Ow. Holy crap, dude.
So it's not always easy for me to remember a particular piece. I guess I would have to say, off the top of my head, I did a set of Cthulhu dinnerware for the Horror Fest, or the World Horror Convention that was here in Denver back in 97 or whenever it was. I think it was 97. So that, it was a 12-piece setting. It was a huge set. So I think that's probably the one I remember most. But again, I've done so many pieces, it's hard for me to put a finger on anything.
Okay. Wow, that's insanely impressive.
I keep excellent records for taxes. So, I just total it at the end of each year and then total it at the end of each decade. And then I have my running total.
Right. What's one of your major influences, I guess, would be a good one?
Pottery, probably the potter Soji Hamada, who was a Japanese potter back in the 60s. I liked his aesthetic. I liked the idea of control with your brush, doing the brushwork. I'm known for my brushwork on my pottery, on my ceramics. I would say Paul Solner, although I don't do a lot of raku anymore. I really enjoyed doing it when I did have facilities that I could complete raku pieces. From a more esoteric point of view, I suppose any of the writings of H.P. Lovecraft influences a lot of my work. I do a lot of kind of Cthulhu-based pottery. In fact, I have 2 new pieces that I'm going to be bringing to shows this year that so far I've done really well.
With your style, what is your go-to, I guess? I mean, when it comes down to your style, I mean, I know with some potters that I've known, they have had they'll always put some kind of swirly into the pattern, or some specific markings that they put into every piece.
I don't do that. I have a set of about 7 different patterns that I use and a palette of 13 colors. So a lot of it is dependent on my market research, what's been selling, has sold in the past, what sells in different markets. And that's kind of what I gear my current set of shows for. So I guess if I had to say something that was universal across, it would be that I use a white clay with a brushwork on it for the most part.
Okay.
And I use a wet on wet technique, which is very unusual. Most potters use brushwork after the piece has been either dried or fired. And I actually do the brushwork while it's still wet on the wheel.
Now, what kind of kiln do you use?
I have an electric kiln.
Okay.
It's a big kiln. It takes me about a week to fill. I can fire anywhere between 30 and 60 pieces, depending on how big the pieces are. Obviously, the bigger the pieces, the less I can get in there. So yeah, I was doing gas firing for a while. but it's not good for the ecology. And electric firing, I brought it down from a higher temperature to a lower temperature without sacrificing what I feel to be the usefulness of a piece, and that's also kind of more environmentally friendly. So
Okay.
I like to try to keep that in mind. I try to have between 1% and 3% waste in my studio. You know, I'd like to get it down to 0, but that's almost impossible.
What's the biggest piece you've made?
Biggest single piece or the biggest set?
Single piece.
Okay, so the biggest single piece I made was a table. It was done in several different pieces and then joined together.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a dining room table. It was more like a telephone table. In fact,
Okay.
that's what she used it for, was a telephone table. It was 3.5 feet tall, and the top was 48 inches wide.
Okay. Wow. Do you have pictures of that up on your website?
I do not. I made that many years ago, and that was pre-digital days. I have some 11 by 14 someplace of it. I just don't know where.
Okay. Okay. That would be something cool to see. What are you sending into Libertycon, or are you coming to Libertycon this year? I don't remember.
I am not coming, but I do have a full show that I'm sending.
Okay. Anything particular for folks to look forward to seeing?
Actually, I have, I don't know how well you can see this.
Oh, wow.
It's one of my Cthulhu inspired mugs. I've got a show of 18 pieces. Each piece is different than each other, so I don't send more than one piece, obviously. I'm going to actually put up a album on my Facebook page of things that I'm going to be sending, so people can click on that and kind of get an idea of what to expect for when the show actually comes up.
Okay, so what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm working on well, I've got 5 shows coming up within the next month, so I'm working to fill those shows. I've got 3 orders that I'm filling. I'm writing a series of books, or a series of novellas, I guess, and I'm doing the art for them.
Oh,
So
nice.
this is one of them. I don't know if you can see it with.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is the what I'm working on as far as like projects for myself, passion projects for myself. Otherwise, it's just I establish what pieces I'm going to be sending to any particular show, and I make that that work list for each show, and it's just a matter of sitting down and doing it. So there's nothing, you know, big and exciting coming up for me as far as new work. It's all pretty much the same old stuff, but with a new twist. I've got a couple of new designs. I've got I'm going to be sending some honey pots, and I'm trying to look at my shelf over there. I've got some noodle bowls with dragons on them, so things like that.
I'm always big on helping those up and coming artists, authors, things like that. So what's some words of wisdom that you would tell your younger self? You know, things you wish you knew when you started.
Oh, I'm writing a book actually that details those exact things. We have formed a guild here in Colorado. Our main focus in our arts guild is outreach to younger artists, or to artists who are starting their journey. There isn't any resource for artists like there is for writers. Writers have guilds, writers have associations, but artists are kind of left to their own devices. And what we really want to do is make sure that we can pass on all the horrible lessons that we learned the hard way, so people can focus on their art and not have to worry about making those mistakes.
Yeah.
The one piece of advice that I would give my younger self would probably be, from a professional level, I have a lot of personal things I could think about, but from a professional level, probably be not waste my time on trying to please other people. Just concentrate on what makes me happy and what I'm good at, because I wasted a lot of time trying to do things that I thought would be the next big deal, or trying to do things that I thought, oh, everybody will love this, I'll do that. Trying to chase the latest fad is not a good idea.
Okay.
It just doesn't work. At least it didn't for me.
Well, usually the latest fad, by the time you pump something out, the fad's gone anyway.
Exactly.
At least on the author side of things, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it too. And your customers are pretty savvy, and they can tell when you're not enjoying what you're doing. You know, when you're just phoning it in, they can tell. So
Yes.
it's always to be better to just be true to yourself. Do what you like, do what makes you happy, and do what you think would be a good thing. Because doing anything for anybody else is not great.
What shows are you doing this year that people can catch you at?
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Chattanooga.
Okay, so I'm doing Libertycon. I did Chattacon, Mid-South Con, Coast Con. God, I do about 50 shows a year.
Okay.
So off the top of my head, I've got SoonerCon is coming up. That's one that I'm going to be attending. FenCon in September, I'll also be attending. Bubonicon, Starfest here in Colorado is next weekend. I'll be there as well. I try to do at least 2 attended shows per quarter. When I'm invited as guest of honor, that might kind of go up a little bit. It depends on how things are scheduled. Conquest is coming up. I'm doing that. MissCon, MiniCon. I mean, there's a lot of different shows coming up.
So where can we find you, your work out there on internet land?
Okay, so I have a website, and it's aegeangoods.com.
Okay.
Or you can find me on Facebook under Peri Charlifu. You know, I'm always posting shows and stuff on my Facebook page. I also run, when I have a chance, when I have time, I run specials on my Facebook page as well. So people can order directly from me there. I have a limited amount of time that I can do special orders. So when I open up special order times, they usually fill up pretty quickly. So, but you can always see my work. Pardon me. You can always see my work on my website.
How can somebody get notification that there's going to be special orders opening up?
Check
availability.
Check my Facebook page, or they can send me an email saying that they want to be on my mailing list. I always send my mailing list out a notification first to give them first choice of orders. So, but anybody can be on my waiting list, or on my, excuse me, on my mailing list.